Now, I will call out Steven.
Yes.
From GI Joburg. Nailed it.
With a bold statement.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, it was, I think when they recorded, it was 7,000, maybe close to 8.
Maybe.
And 2 days left, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no way I would have made a bold statement saying that not only would it fund, but we'll get the Knife Force ripcord.
Yeah, when I heard that, I was like, okay, I hope he's right.
Yeah, he was on it. But anyways.
Spot on.
Yeah, hello, this is very, very smug Steve. I'm recording GI Joburg episode 228, Element Extraction, and yes, the Skystriker has funded, but I'm not alone. I'm joined by the usual suspects. Sound off, boys.
Hello, my name is Paul. I'm happy to being here.
Rob is also here with Stephen Armis, with his amazing prediction. Me and Paul were wrong. I will eat my humble pie. It's very good.
And rounding out the quartet, we have none other than Mr. Troy Smith, fellow playmotion producer. Hello, Troy. What's up, brother?
Hey, party people!
And the reason Troy's in attendance, if you missed out, this weekend past we premiered a new playmotion adventure entitled Element Extraction, as a kind of a tale, a special missions, if you were, that spins out of last year's Backyard Battles Element X. If this is all Greek to you, scroll down and check out the show notes for a link to the video in question. But anyways, gents, let's crack it open. New shit this week. Anybody got any new toys? Troy, how about you, brother?
Oh yes, I was so fortunate. I was listening to What's on Joe Mind, and they told me about the Southern California toy show, GI Joe show. I didn't know about it, but because of them, I did. And so I took 2 of my kids, my middle child, Lily Bella, and my youngest girl, Jasmine. We drove about an hour and a half down to almost San Diego and picked up some toys.
What'd you get?
Oh, I'm kind of like the guy who wants to pick up the toys at the good deal and just action figures. And because I think the girls like to play, we're looking for ladies, and that's a hard thing to find, isn't it? So we got a couple. I'm going to turn my mic on. So this Scarlet is Shrunken Head Scarlet.
She doesn't look bad on camera. I'm not gonna lie. And that is that's from one of the comic book packs, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct, absolutely. And I bought her for her body. I was like, maybe I can swap that head out.
Look, to be honest, if she's a little bit more durable than Scarlet 1982-83, she's worthy.
Yeah.
Playing with that toy is becoming a very, very scary prospect.
Yeah.
Which is why I hope they revisit that mold for the burgeoning retro O-ring collection.
I hope
Come
so
on,
too.
Hasbro.
Yeah, she should be on the short list. I mean, she's everywhere. All right, so keeping on with the ladies, CoverGirl, a new modern version, but she's still O-ring, but just different kind of construction. A couple of non-GI Joe. These girls are just called Spies, but whatever.
They were advertised heavily on yojo.com. I forget what they're called, but it's a generic black-haired woman in various different colored bodysuits.
Right. And then you guys talked about her last week. GI
Bomb
Jane.
Strike.
Well, I thought it was Bomb Strike too, but I believe this is GI Jane. And she she came with, because I saw the full pack with her and all the Army Builder troops, and then I saw her by herself. And I was like,
very good. I need to issue a retraction because we showcased some artwork of this figure, and Paul ventured a guess that was perhaps GI Jane, and I was like, no, it's not. It's Bomb Strike. But Paul, I think you were right, pal.
I could be wrong. And this one, I'm glad you're here because maybe you can tell me about this figure. I don't know where she came from. That is
a Jinx with an interesting deco. Is she Cobra affiliated?
Cool. Yeah. Yes.
So that is, I don't know who that is, but I know that was for a time.
Not Vipra, is it?
Not Vipra.
Okay.
Viper would be sort of bluish. She's still
All right.
burgundy, but with a very ornate
Very
design.
cool
on her.
looking.
It's
Yeah,
beautiful. It's a
she
great
has this-
version of Jinx.
this I don't know what this scowl or what is that called?
Sort of a little bit of I don't know, a loincloth almost,
Yeah.
long one. But I know that Cujo brought her to JoeCon, and we were taking pictures of her on the table, and I kind of put her in a 1 foot kicking pose. He was
Mhm.
like, "What? You're posing fools off the chain, man." It's a lousy Cujo impersonation. Anyways, that's awesome, Troy. Great toys, man.
Yeah, they aren't fantastic. I mean, whatever. They're not like the big stars or big winners, but I just new action figures. Cesspool, another dial tone.
Ooh, cesspool. Nice.
Yeah, and then
And Ghost Rider.
and Ghost Rider, the one everybody forgets. So I've got a couple Sky Strikers. I need a
forgot
couple
him.
pilots.
Excellent. Are
Yeah.
you going to fashion a red scarf out of some fabric scraps by any chance?
Some what? Red Skull? Oh yeah, Red Skulls. No.
Red scarf.
Oh, Red
Because
Scarf.
Ghost
Oh, yes,
Rider,
that's right. He's missing his. You're right.
you got it, man.
Yeah. I see what you.
It kind of completes the figure as far as I'm concerned. It's weird to me to see like an exposed neck.
Yes, you're correct. I didn't notice that. I forgot about that. And then,
Just like you forgot about Ghost Rider.
yeah,
Everybody does.
absolutely. Sorry.
And you got Sci-Fi V2.
Sci-Fi. And
Sweet.
So what? When I was
Is
a
that
kid,
how you
Sci-Fi.
imagine Sci-Fi's face looking?
No, I kind of wish they kept with the original mold.
What? Had
Without
his face
that.
obscured?
Yeah. Well.
RoboCop.
Yes. Yeah. You know what? To be honest with you, I thought that was Psych Out. Well, you're right. It is Sci-Fi. I always keep Psych Out and Sci-Fi confused.
Well, I mean, he's got that kind of 90s flop top, the middle parting.
Mhm.
So the neck was kind of Psych Out's thing, though he went even more surferoso with long hair. But yeah, if you had gotten a certain idea of what Sci-Fi looked like under the helmet, I'm sure version 2 seemed like a departure from that.
Yeah.
He just looks so friendly.
Yeah. Exactly.
He's a very handsome man. I'm not gonna lie. It's true.
Yeah. It's good to see the helmet off. I like that.
Oh, nice. Well, Sci-Fi version 2 was my first blushings with the character. So, I mean, and obviously the black and dark gray was a vastly more palatable color choice than the Lumo green. I mean, a lot of people decry that as like the start of the rot.
Right.
But it's still a great sculpt. Either version, beautiful.
And you're right. You bring up the RoboCop, and I always thought that Sci-Fi was lifted from RoboCop, but he actually came before RoboCop.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Good point. I think a lot of people make that connection, but fail to see the exact dates. And I mean, for a figure to have been released in 1986 as Sci-Fi version 1 was, that means his design work started maybe even as early as like late 84. Most definitely 85. So yeah, like, I mean, it's interesting. Gentlemen, anyone else got any new shit? I know I'm going to roll heavy. Had a big week. Robbie?
Yeah.
Oh,
Robbie, wow. Yeah.
Well, I acquired something. It's not a GI Joe, unfortunately, but someone emailed our shop and was like, hey, I'm unfortunately going to a neighboring country and I can't take this figure with me. Can I sell it to you guys? And we're like, we don't buy figures or statues or whatever. But then he was like, okay, can I just like drop it off? I was like, yeah, no, you're more than welcome to. So then a couple of days later, he comes in, he drops this thing off, and he was like, oh, can you just like find a good home for it? And I was like, yeah, no, definitely. I'll try to find a fan of the series, that a kid, hopefully. But it's been like at least a month or two now, and not a single fan of the series has come in. I mean, they're there for other things like Naruto and One Piece and My Hero Academia, but no fans of the series came in. So I was like,
see where this is going.
So I was like, okay, I guess I'll acquire it for myself then. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the series myself. I watched it growing up. So I acquired they call it a Maximatic figure of Son Goku from Dragon
Nice.
Ball. It is a very cool figure. It stands at about 6 or 7 inches tall. It comes in like a pretty decent, like average box. I think we sell them. Well, not these specific ones, but we sold other ones from the series. So I finally have a figure from the Dragon Ball series. It's not something I would
figure
have.
or statue.
It's a statue. Well, it's a figure, not an action figure, and it's not really a statue because it's not. I don't know. It's not the size of a statue. I think it's more of a figure than an action figure. But yeah, you could call it a statue. You could, yeah, okay, it's a statue.
Well, it looks damn good, and to be honest, like because you don't have any other Dragon Ball Z figures, he's not gonna have anyone to fight anyways. So
exactly. So he might as well just look really awesome. And yeah, it's something I wouldn't have gone out of my way to get. So I was like, that's awesome. I mean, I tried my best. I waited for someone to come into the shop. It was a big Dragon Ball fan who I could just hand this over to and be like, here you go. Have a good Thanksgiving or whatever. Okay, we don't do Thanksgiving, but I mean, it's been about a month or so now since the guy dropped it off. So I think it has finally got home.
No one saw this statue residing on the top shelf in the back corner, covered in cobwebs. I guess I'll just help myself. Rob, thinly veiled, my friend.
I really was gonna wait. I waited as long as I could, but no fans of Dragon Ball came in, so I was like, I'll give it home myself then. Also, I was looking up now that Jinx figure. Apparently, it is actually a Viper figure. For the people in the comments who have already commented already, it is from 2004, a Ninja Cobra Strike Team Toys R Us exclusive box set, which included 2 Viper. Black Dragon Ninja, 2 red Ninja Vipers, and a Storm Shadow version 16, apparently.
Damn.
All right. Seems like I'm missing a few characters to go with the set.
Yeah, for sure. You need at least another Viper.
Well, she's a beautifully decorated figure either way.
It's fantastic. I mean, the whole set actually looks pretty decent. And weirdly enough, actually not weird enough, but the Storm Shadow from this is in black.
Oh,
if I'm looking at this correctly, black or brown?
Well,
cool. And it's actually listed as Storm Shadow, hey?
Oh, actually, it's the brown version. So he's brown Storm Shadow, Ninja Leader Brown. Man.
I
think I'm getting flashbacks of like our definitive Storm Shadow sculpt discussion, and there was a slight mention of Storm Shadow in brown. And what exactly he'd be camouflaging with. That's kind of where he belongs. Paulie, new shit. What you got, brother?
I sadly haven't got anything new.
Well, moving swiftly along then.
This is unprecedented.
I'll tell you what I'm hopeful for, though. I'm hopeful that to get my hands on a Terraclaw Skeletor because they have started appearing in the stores lately. And that's like my favorite Skeletor. So I'm very excited to be able to leave the house to do so. The only reason I haven't is certain family members decided to get COVID. Not on purpose. But that has meant that I haven't been able to leave the house. And the problem with the Motu stuff in South Africa is none of the toy shops in South Africa actually list up-to-date figures. So you would type in like Motu on a local site like Toy Kingdom or Toy Zone or whatever's, and you see what they've got, and then what happens is it just says add 1 to cart, not add web store to cart or Stinkor. It's add 1 to cart. So you'll be like yay, and then it'll get to you, and you'll be like, oh, it's Clam Champ or Ram Man. You know what I mean? So so you can't even buy it online. So
chalk up one victory for brick and mortar. Like the online avenue hasn't quite caught up to the actual physical shopping experience yet. And long may that last. Though I'm sure its days are numbered.
I think so too. And also I feel like this is the only point in this whole podcast that I can mention this. But I got so excited yesterday. I get this message on Instagram, and it's from Big Bad Toy Store. And it's like, congratulations, you've won, because they're doing a daily competition leading up to Christmas. So I'm like super excited because the last prize that they've posted up is $100 voucher. So I'm like, hell yes, there's a lot of cool stuff I'd buy on Big Bad Toy Store. And but there's something about the message that just seemed a bit dodge. So I read it a few times and
Just give
put
us
it
your
under my
birth date and
microscope.
your credit card details, your phone
Yeah,
number and your
exactly.
address.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those ridiculous things. So, I mean, I didn't even go that far. I just looked at it and I was like, something's off here. So then I sent a message to actual BBTS on Facebook and on Instagram, and I haven't had a response yet. But when I went into my Instagram to check messages, I see that that person who was posing as BBTS is now somebody called Pablo Sueño or something. I don't know what his actual name is. I'm just coming up with stuff. But it was something like Pablo something anyway. But it wasn't obviously it was just like a scam. So I was so sad because I was like, yay, I actually won something. Woohoo! And then sadness.
I'm sorry, Paul. But
It's
you're now
okay.
entering competitions left, right, and center.
Right
'cause
in
you're like,
center.
yeah,
I'm
good,
I'm
good.
really hoping I win that Ecto 1 Lego set.
Ah,
If only because I entered the competition. So yeah.
nice. Well, we are sending you good vibes, my friend. New shit
Thanks,
for me
dudes.
has been a busy week, but firstly, I wanted to make note of that ass clown who was selling a broken Snake Eyes version 1.5. Managed to sell it this weekend.
Wow.
Hopefully, the buyer sees some value in that. But yes, if you don't recall, it had a screw that had been overturned, and so he's got a third nipple in the middle of his chest. And also that screw is completely stripped. You cannot separate the two figure halves without breaking him. So hopefully whoever it went to can get some value out of it. But yeah, I sent that back in a big damn hurry.
It's the special third nipple edition.
Gross. And yeah,
Gross.
just communicating with this guy was the worst. He was so pushy and just so like I don't know. Some people on the internet, man, they're just not participating in the human race. I'll leave it at that. I don't want it to ride him any further, but yeah, he was just bad transaction. Anyways, got the GI Joe tank car. Did anyone have this as a child?
Negative.
Sadly, no.
No.
One of the vehicle action
Looks
packs.
cute though.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it completes a set for me. The 1988 motorized vehicle packs, which I've been a fan of since they were. Well, look, I haven't been a fan of them. The short answer is, as a child, this was the booby prize. Like, why would you buy a carded toy that is for interacting with a figure and not a figure? So, like, if you got this on its own, it was pretty lame. Certainly the bane of like birthday parties where it was like, oh, okay. And as a result, they warmed pegs big time back in South Africa. But now that I have all the figures I could ever want, they need something to do. So the tank car was a no-brainer. Like when I saw it come up in a lot, I was like, I want that. If for no other reason than to have a fixed gun for any guy to use, or a fixed gun with some ability. I think that's how I described it in the one-shot review that I did this weekend. Check that out on YouTube if you want to see more of the tank car. I did a quick review of it. A link will be in the description below. And I don't know, guys. I'll be the first to admit it looks ridiculous, but if you're a fan of Metal Slug, like these chibified vehicles are excellent. I mean, that's the design of these things. Like they look chunky and diminutive.
And-
So it's a cool little gun bus, man. Gun cart.
And I caught your review on that one, by the way. It was like a lot of fun. I'm surprised that you didn't know that they were made by Tomy.
Well, I knew it ever since Form BX257's review, which is I'm going to say 3 years ago now. But yeah,
okay,
man, I
thank
didn't
God.
know back in the day. But like you can see all the hallmarks of a Tomy toy in it.
Yeah.
Like while it's perfectly interactive with GI Joe, like all the sizings are correct, the tolerances are correct. It does have that like hard, glossy plastic feel, the metal rivets, the pull back and go feature, or the wind up and go features. Like it's got a nice tightness and compactness of design that does call back to a different toy lines aesthetic. Like Joe vehicles felt like model kits. This is not a Joe vehicle. This is something else. This is a more hardy, packed toy. Like there was no assembly required for this. Anyways, I've spoken enough about the tank car. They're highly collectible to me now. I want all of these things. I know, Troy, you're a fan of them. I saw the Earth Borer show up in your playmotion adventure with Falcon. Yeah, okay, and then that's just another one of those beautifully manufactured pieces. Such an oddity. But if you've kind of exhausted all the figures and vehicles you've ever wanted, I think it's time to branch out into these little strange things. And hey, if nothing else, it gives Joe's something extra to do. For instance, I got the radar station from the previous year, and all of a sudden, my sneak peek has a new function. Love giving a figure options, because they've got their standard equipment and that's always going to be their thing. But if you want a bit of variation, these accessory packs or these wind-up action packs give you that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. If I saw that radar dish and anywhere, I would buy it. I always thought that one was a cool one. Even when I was a kid, I was like, oh, the radar is pretty cool. It seems functional and would be something you would take out into battle with you. It's like, all right, we really need to, I don't know.
You could get a radar unit onto a nice high perch.
Yeah, there are so many different play features and missions you could do with that.
Yep. And as I say, it finally gives Sneak Peek like another mission profile, because like if he's not sneaking and peeking, what else does he get to do? Like I have trouble putting him in the infantry squad. Probably got to do with his coloring, but yeah, now he's the radar guy. Go set up the radar, Sneak Peek. Yes, sir. And then what's next in order? Yes, I bought a lot of Silver Mirage parts.
Oh wow.
A lot. And a Z-Force RAM cycle. Anyways, out of these parts, I managed to put together 3 very respectable Silver Mirages. So I'm stoked, guys.
Oh damn! You got like a whole motor squad going on there.
Well, if you're a fan of the Sunbow cartoon, episodes like Captives of Cobra, where everyone's on their own Silver Mirage, images of like that just keep flashing through my brain. And I'm like, yeah, man, I want to army build this bike. Not to mention the fact that it came in pieces allowed me the opportunity to really get in there and see the inner workings of this thing. I mean, it is as model kit as GI Joe vehicles get. You don't get more finely model kitty than the Silver Mirage. I'm probably not expressing myself as well as I could. Forgive me, it's 5 a.m. But the way it's made is so clever and yet so finicky. This is not a great toy, I'll be the first to admit, but it is a great experience after the fact as an adult to piece these together from parts. I had a terrific, 45 minutes of stripping it down, cleaning each individual part, and then putting them back together again. And like, just the nuance of the fact that the rear spokes are ever so slightly bigger than the front spokes. So if you've got a particularly tight rear wheel, chances are it's because you got the front spoke on the back. But yeah, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and this Silver Mirage bike is a delicious meal. I love posing Dusty on it. Scarlet can even ride it, no problem, without endangering her crotch, because it's a nice slender bike. But yeah, she's a pretty bike. And I discovered a new thing today, or 2 new things. One, just like you get plastic flash on some of the parts, you can get rubber flash too. And I've had to carve little nubbins off the rubber tires to give it a nice smooth roll. And also the front forks have an awkward, maybe a mold release, like right in between where they're supposed to marry. Anyone who knows the Silver Mirage knows what I'm talking about. Like, so the 2 halves of the front forks will never be flush together until you get in and carve that little bit of, I don't know, mold. It's a bump, basically. It's a circular bump. And without that, the two halves of the front forks will never be flush. Anyways, I got in deep with the Silver Mirage, guys. Got a lot of insight to share on that bike all of a sudden. But yeah, of the three, all of them have the rear suspension spring unbroken, which is incredibly fortunate. And I got all that value for $20, Australian, no less. Not your American dollar, which is on top. But Paul, maybe you can give me some advice, man. The Ram cycle has got a broken rivet on the front fork. I've never seen a rivet head broken off. Is there anything I can do short of actually sizing a rivet and putting a new one in?
Yeah, you could probably put a new rivet in it. You would need some kind of tool to do it. You'd need to use a rivet gun or something.
A rivet gun on that fork, which would possibly break the fork.
Would probably break it, yeah. The only other suggestion I can give, which is kind of what I was thinking of doing to put the fork into the cowling at the top there, was to take a nail, a normal nail, and cut off the spiky bit, and then super glue a plastic tube on it so that it sits in there. And that's how I was gonna keep it in there. That was one idea. Although I would be curious to see what somebody like Action Robot Punch has to say, or even Bot, because Bot's got quite a bit of experience with these bad boys as well.
Well, I'm glad you open the floor up to the assembled audience, because Bot, I'm gonna respond to you first, bro, and say that I cleaned the Silver Mirages up. He thought I liked dirty, banged up stuff. Yes and no. When it comes to the Silver Mirage, I like it squeaky clean. That is a beautiful, beautiful bike, and should be as clean as a whistle. Gaz, who's a big fan of Megaforce, says the Silver Mirage fleet should be starting a Megaforce wing for GI Joe. Cool, yeah, man. I must say my first touchstone is not Megaforce and more Delta Force with Chuck Norris. Didn't he have a bike that fired little sort of mortars off the back, and it had machine guns up front and rockets up front?
So, that was a fantastic bike.
But I have since watched Megaforce, and you're absolutely right, guys. These would be a dead ringer for those guys. I got more stuff. Am I nauseating?
Oh my goodness!
Well, I just remembered something.
Yeah.
Sorry, just if you want to take a break from talking about your awesome stuff.
Do it.
I suppose I can't believe I just realized this, because I haven't done it in a long time. I got a new game, because that actually does get delivered to my house. I know, shocker.
GI Joe Operation Blackout?
No, God, no. Nobody's given me money to play that yet, so I haven't bought it yet. But
Rage Viper Rob says it's still not worth your money. So
no, it's really not. But I did get a game that has got that is toy related. That's why I figured, this is actually perfect to mention. It's Hot Wheels Unleashed game, which is really, really good. I got it for quite cheap. I got it for quite a good price. It retails for $5.99 here locally. It is fantastic. That is very good example of how
for
PS5,
Nintendo. Okay, for PS5.
No, I got it but it's on everything. It's on everything that plays games, basically. But I gotta say, guys, that is how you make a video game based on a toy license. They've taken all the hallmarks of what makes Hot Wheels great, like the cars themselves, and imagining racing them around, your house and stuff, which they've done. They've filled up bedrooms and lofts and basketball courts and all kinds of weird things with these orange tracks that just go into crazy, crazy spirals and loops, etc. Really fantastic. And you can make your own courses. You can make your own little race tracks, which is great. You can even customize those rooms that you're racing in. So you can change the wallpaper and the decorations and everything of all the stuff inside those rooms, which is cool.
Reminds me of Micro Machines, man.
Very much so, yeah.
It's a very cool, it sounds like a good update for that game.
Exactly, right? And then the other thing that
my noobness, I was like Nintendo DS when I meant Switch, obviously. Forgive me, guys. I've been out of the game for so long.
And then the cherry on the cake, so to speak, is the fact that you can customize your Hot Wheels cars. So you can unlock a whole bunch of cars in the game. You either purchase them as like blind box items, or you win them, or whatever's. And then you can still add your own paint job onto them. And they've given you a really robust customizing engine, for making them look cool. Everything from the type of paints to the stickers and everything that you put on there. And it looks like a legit Hot Wheels car, because when you see it in the game, they put a bit of post-processing on it, and it looks like a real little car, and it's so cool. And there's a little bonus in the form of things like the DeLorean, the time machine, as well as the party wagon, and
I'm sure they
kits
have
from
loads of Batmobiles.
There's tons of Batmobiles. There's too many damn Batmobiles in that game. It's currently going through a bit of a DC phase at the moment, where you can buy the DC pack, and then you've got all of those, those really cool DC cars. Well, not, I say really cool, but I'm not a big fan of them. But you know how Hot Wheels does it? They have like Street Fighter and the Ninja Turtles and all that kind of stuff. Some of those cars are actually in the game, but they've currently got the Batman pack going. So it's got all of the Batman heroes and villains. So there's like Robin and Batman and Armored Batman, and there's a Superman in there, and there's a Bane and a Joker.
Have you seen the Hot Wheels like Wind Rider and like the Thunder Tank from Thundercats? Such cool cars, man.
They're very cool. They're very, very cool. I haven't seen them locally though.
Okay.
But they are very
Every
cool.
time I see them, I'm
impressed.
like, these are worthy pickups.
I wouldn't mind the little Hot Wheels Wind Raider and the keep
Party
forgetting the
wagon.
name of the little shark tank thing. I wouldn't mind Hot Wheels versions of those, I must be honest, because they look like a lot of fun actually. But yeah, anyway, sorry Steve, I didn't mean to derail you. I
Land
just had
shark.
a land shark. There we go.
Nice.
Anyway, cool.
Hey,
Go
Berg.
for it, dude. Berg. Hot Berg wheels.
I feel like there's going to be a Hot Wheels renaissance in my household pretty soon, because Elliot loves cars. He loves to pick them up and like just with his little finger like play with the wheel, like back and forth.
Aw.
It's
Like
amazing.
roll them across the ground at all? Nothing like that yet?
No, nothing like that just yet. He doesn't have the he does have the coordination, but he doesn't get anything out of like moving it along the ground. Like he likes to examine the toy, which, being a particularly meticulous toy lover myself, I can appreciate that. Anyways, I think I'm actually done with new shit, to be honest. I suppose I could show you this week's Lego from my advent calendar.
Oh yeah.
Left
Yeah.
to right, we've got an Imperial troop transport, the kind of hover variety that you see in the Mandalorian, inspired by the original toy, which never made it into the films. Then there's a land speeder done up in a powder blue, which, if memory serves, is from the first episode of Mandalorian. Then we have the most forgettable pack-in of all. It's actually like a Dio piece, but it's just a random cobbling together of pieces, and I really wish Lego didn't bother. I mean, it's crap. It's tat. It looks like the excess pieces that you get out of every set, just put together on a 2x4 stud base. Then a sand person or Tusken Raider. Guys, if you
Sand
had
person.
shown this to me 10 years ago, I would have said that's not real Lego. Like, the detail on the head is incredible. And like, I just think it's fake. Surely it's a fan project. It's a third party. But no, this is real Lego, man. And obviously it has that same high quality finish. But I'm like, wow, Lego has really become something else since I stopped collecting it. Then the second most forgettable piece, it's actually a stud launcher for the Tusken Raiders, but it looks like, I don't know, man, a lawnmower with giant horns sticking out of the side. It's crap. But the high points of the week definitely rounded out the week. I got an X-Wing and a TIE Fighter. And the engineering that goes into these is incredible, because it's basically getting you recognizable vehicles at the lowest brick count possible. The X-Wing's S-foils can open and close. Okay, sure, there's no mechanism for it. You do it manually, so you can get them kind of in weird, non-canonical configurations if you want to. But the fact that it can splay its wings open and close them is incredible. I would have done it in a gray. I don't know why they've done it in white, but whatever. Lego moves in mysterious ways. I think grey would have looked less KOE. Like an X-Wing in white looks like a knockoff. Anyways, let me not labor the point. And the TIE Fighter also, incredible engineering. Like, it's something that I would have been very proud of had I did it with my own Lego collection, on my own Steam, which is something I would have definitely done as a child. But I didn't actually have these parts, so my TIE Fighter would have not gotten away with being as small scale. But yeah, impressive stuff. Well done, Lego. You've managed to secure $50 out of me for the minimal pod count possible. 'Cause that's what the advent calendars are, aren't they?
And like a whole
I must say
minifigure.
the magic of opening something new every single day is not lost on even a 37-year-old old man.
Those figures are so small. They look like the things that you can sneak into school where you're not supposed to have any toys, but they fit in your pocket and you can play with them all day and nobody can know. It's
Troy,
I like this, man.
GI Joe was that perfect size as well.
Yes.
Pocket sized. Once you get 5 inches, 6 inches, it starts becoming a strain on your, like the inside pocket of your blazer. Or I suppose in the United States, you wouldn't have had blazers unless you were like some posh kid trying to make a point. But yeah, I remember like great days of like being in a long, boring assembly and the kid next to me like pulling a GI Joe or two out of his pocket. I was like, oh, cool. We have to keep it very down low. Yeah. Guys, I think it's time to talk HasLab. I know this topic is saturated everywhere, but it wrapped up this week past and in extremely dramatic fashion. So if you'd like to skip forward to the element extraction playmotion chat, here is the time code you want to use.
1 hour, 2 minutes, and 40 seconds.
And with that out of the way, dear listener, if you're still here, we're going to talk about this sweet, sweet chat, how it funded. Oh, man. I've got a story to tell, but I don't want to hog the mic. So, anybody else want to step up? Paul and Rob, I imagine you guys were sleeping when it closed.
I was
checked
actually
it.
awake.
Oh no, I wasn't awake. But I kind of checked it before going to bed. I think it was still in the 7,000, in the 8,000s. I think.
Wow.
Possibly in the early 9,000s. I was like, okay, it's climbing. It's climbing really good. I mean, I was amazed. Yes, I mean, at that point, I think I was like, okay, it's probably going to hit it. But I really didn't think that they would make any of the stretch goals at that point. I was still very skeptical. I was like, no ways. But apparently the power of ripcord is real strong.
I
Real
call it the
strong.
power of FOMO, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Because once it funded, the tumble to 16K happened in a matter of hours.
Good
like
Lord,
I
that's
was awake
crazy.
and refreshing my page the whole time. But I said I wouldn't hog the mic. Paul, what is your story? You say you were awake, man.
Yeah, I was awake. I was actually catching it sort of peripherally, if that makes sense. Like, I kept on checking everybody's posts. So, like for example, MCDJ, he was posting like updates of the numbers, and then guys were like, saying stuff on that chat, on that one specific post about it. I think it was actually a post on our episode. But anyway, I was just watching a few different things on Facebook and just sort of posting here and there and making a few jokes here and there. And then I realized, like, I'm like, I don't want to say anything because, like, I just didn't want to jinx it. I was like so shit scared of jinxing it. Like, not that, I mean, like, that's pretty arrogant to think that you have all the power in the world to be able to jinx it. But I just didn't want to contribute to jinxing it. Let's put it that way. So I didn't want to say anything positive or negative. I was just like, and when it funded, well, that was pretty cool because then I could be like, yay, I'm so happy I'm wrong. And I am. I'm actually really, really happy that I was wrong about it. And that's the thing. It's a good win for the GI Joe community, and it's a good win for a lot of us, who, back things. And I think it's also worth mentioning that it was good to see the Rancor, or good to see a Star Wars property get kicked in his balls in favor of GI Joe, I might add. So,
You, Star Wars.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, it's not like I
you.
hate Star Wars or anything, but I mean,
I hate
fuck,
Star
for how
Wars.
long has like
Kidding.
Star Wars gotten everything? You know, they get cool toys, they get cool vehicles, they get a toy line that just never dies, despite being
Shit
stabbed
movies.
in the heart and doused in holy water, and then still left out in the sun. It still fucking comes back. Pardon me. So it was nice. So like, sorry, and I'm gonna say this, but fuck you, Star Wars. Okay,
Yeah.
you deserve this
Fuck
one.
you, Star Wars.
Like Rancor, please.
It was. I just think they didn't manage it as well. I think they didn't read the room as well as the guys in the GI Joe division did.
They
Especially with
needed
those
Emily,
extras.
dude.
Those extras
Sorry.
is I think definitely what sold this as well. They
Oh,
needed them.
totally.
And
Yeah.
how? All of a sudden, it became a very good deal. Well,
Do you think that GI Joe
as likely
fans?
as you're going to get in modern toy production climate.
Do you think GI Joe fans are kind of like, in the eyes of Hasbro now, they're kind of like seen as, that like, oh god, it's going to sound terrible. They're seen, fans are seen as that like sort of very eager, very forward person at a bar. And you think, and Hasbro's like, oh, you know what? I'm going to indulge this person. I could use it as well. It's a win-win situation. And then the next morning, you've got something extra. I've got a feeling that I know it sounds bad, the analogy that I'm using here, but I kind of feel like Hasbro has now sort of scratched an itch there, and they're gonna have to keep on giving. Because I think Joe fans are not going to back off now. I think they're going to be like, yes, we got a Skystriker. Come on, Hasbro, where's our retro figures? Come on, Hasbro, where's our
Where's the
whale? Where's the whale?
flag?
And there are people that there
It's like
are
a Cobra
actually people
helicopter.
out. Yeah, where is it? Where is it? Come on, Hasbro. Damn it, man. We made a promise with each other. We promised each other. Come on. I gave you a whole bunch of my money and you gave me a Skystriker. We're in love now. Anyway, I'm going to back away from a mic. 'Cause I'm
No,
ready to go.
you said a mouthful, Paul. Troy, you watched it live, presumably. I mean, it was during your awake hours. I don't know. What time do you go to bed? Like on the West Coast, I suppose it closed at 9 p.m.
Yes. So on the East Coast, you know what? I don't know. I missed it. I can't believe I missed it, but I got in early. I got in
Okay.
at 50.
Well, then you didn't need to watch the
Yeah.
finish line. You can
Exactly.
just wake up to the spoils. Like, what? What I backed back, 45 days ago? It's got extra stuff? What?
Yeah, I backed it at 5,050. That's where I was, right in
Okay.
the middle. And when it first came out, I was like, oh gosh, that's a lot of money for a Skystriker, and I was a little hesitant. And then I thought about some more, and I was like, oh, you know what? I do want to back this. I do want to see GI Joe. I'm just gonna go for it, and if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I saw your podcast last week, and you called it, and I was like, whoa! It's like that would be something. I hope that's the case. What really threw it over for me was like I did want the extra figures. I did want the O-ring Scarlet. I wanted the flight suit Scarlet. I wanted the Night Force Ripcord, and then Wayne Ruthel. It's like those other figures is like pretty much the reason why I bought it, more so than the Jet.
Well, now you've also got 3 Cobra figures thrown into the mix for free.
Yes,
Well,
I
not
like
really
that.
free. You've paid dearly for it, so they should better damn well be there. Awesome. Well, the truth about the prediction was, Biff Tannen from the future came back and gave me the toy almanac. And that's how I knew. I mean, I wasn't going to actually drop the exact figure. I wanted to kind of not make it seem like I was a freak. No, I'm kidding.
So,
guys,
did you
I
bet
woke
on
up
it
to the
then?
news. I know, right? I should have. But who am I betting with? Betting with, my mates. We're all broke. I woke up to the news that it had funded. So at 6 a.m. local time here, I switched my phone off flight mode and saw the post. I think it was the Joburg post. I saw Robert Kalupitan, I think, had posted it, and Paul had commented on it. A bunch of our regulars, shall I say, had commented on it, and that's when the FOMO started to build, because I hadn't backed this project. I had my reasons, and they seem like petty to get into now, but obviously the cost and the difficulty that internationals face in getting this toy were a factor, because as dear a cost as $230 plus tax is to folks in the United States and the UK, Canada maybe, that includes postage. So that's a one-off cost. That's all you need to worry about. For everyone in other parts of the world, you got to worry about courier fees and import duties. Like, there are a lot of question marks that push this thing further into the bracket of not worth it. And if you had already made up your mind that it wasn't worth it from the off, well, forget about it. And I had been in that camp. But with the knowledge that it now had funded, I had an itch. I was like, this is going to be the biggest party GI Joe has celebrated in a long time. This is going to be a win for...
Let's party.
And exactly, Blitz'em, baby.
Blitz'em, baby.
And I felt like if I wasn't in on this, it would just make me fester even more. Like, I was kind of embittered about Hasbro doing a HasLab and producing the same toy we've had. Like, all the criticisms were bubbling to the surface. And how do you quiet those criticisms? Well, by playing the game, by getting involved and joining in the fun, as it were, the fun of being a consumer to an overpriced toy. No, I'm kidding. It's almost like it doesn't matter if the Skystriker sucks or is good or is average or like will always play second fiddle to my vintage original. The fact that I was now participating was almost worth the price of admission. But it was not all said and done at 6 a.m. That's when the itch started. And I had approximately like 8 hours at that point to kind of make up my mind. And I did my best to forget about it. Just leave it. It's too difficult to arrange to get one now. Like, it's late. Like, just perish the thought, Stephen. So as I say, I went about my day as per usual. Kim and I took Elliot to a massive communal pool, met up with some medical friends who also had kids. We made a day of it, came home, put him down for his nap, made some lunch. I checked in. Scarlet had been unlocked. And I was like, oh, damn. All of a sudden, the comments started coming in like, oh, we got Scarlet, but we're definitely not going to get Ripcord, guys. Like, forget about it. This is a dream come true. Like, we should be grateful. And that's when I started looking at online alternatives. First port of call, Snowcat Ron informed me that he bought in. He was on the fence just like me, and we'd kind of bantered about our reasonings. He had taken the plunge and used Zavvi. Zavvi is international, but Zavvi Netherlands actually gets the Skystriker. And I was like, oh, sweet. Zavvi Australia does not. But I went onto the Netherlands sites, and my Dutch isn't great, but I could tell from the wording and just from previous experience that when I tried adding it to cart, it said, this item is not available in your local Zavvi store. I'm like, oh, damn it. But that wasn't my last port of call. I then checked an email thread or comment thread from Mr. Dark Core himself, Robert Kalupitan, who said I had two options. The one was Philippines-based, and that would take some rather expensive couriering. And the second was based in Singapore, called Oh My Primus. And they had stock of the pre-order. Now, this is so weird. I've never done a HasLab before, and you're going to think I'm really country bumpkin. I've never done a pre-order before in my life. Like, the toys I buy are all 20 or more years old. Buying something that does not yet exist is a strange concept to me. But I put in a pre-order with Oh My Primus. All it took to secure one was $50 down payment. Amazing. 50 Sing dollars, that's 500 Rand. That's about 35 US. And I think I've got a HasLab Skystriker.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice,
Yeah.
dude. Here I
Damn.
thought you weren't gonna do it.
I got the email confirmation from Oh My Primus. And then just today, I've checked my emails and he says, yes, don't worry, Steve, your order is secure. You only need to pay the difference, the other 280 Sing dollars, when it ships. I'm like, sweet. I've got a year and a half to save for that. Delight.
Yeah,
And
pre-orders
my
are very
my
strange.
sister-in-law can just go and pick it up. It's like in the same neighborhood she lives in.
That's wild. Yeah, I think pre-ordering culture is very different from obviously buying like old toys.
Yep. I must tell you guys that I was on the fence all the way up until like I was teetering on the brink of, do I talk to Kim about this? Do I not? And I decided, oh, what the hell? Let's see what she says. And that was the galvanizing moment. She was like, Stephen, are you crazy? Don't miss out. You owe it to everyone who punishes themselves by listening to you week after week jaw about my toys. You need to buy this jet. Like, forget about it. Don't even give it a second thought. Like, hit buy now. So yeah, no, that was that. And a great point made by Pablo on the Facebook group is that Elliot will be 3 years old.
Yeah.
And we'll probably be old enough to play with it by the time it gets to me. So yeah. Easy. And then Providence struck. I was bantering with a fellow Australian, Matt Little Boy on Facebook. He was like, we got Scarlet. There's no ways we're getting Ripcord. And I was like, wait and see, man. There's still like 30 minutes left on the clock. 20 minutes. We're almost there. And it happened. I think within the last 20 minutes of the campaign, Ripcord was unlocked. And man,
That's wild.
champagne bottles were being cracked around the world. We were like, what the fuck? Hasbro is giving us like 7 figures in this box, 2 vehicles, all those shitty blast effects, the stand, the jet. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's 230 US, well enough spent. I mean, as I say, in modern toy climate, that's probably value for money. We have our views skewed as buyers of vintage toys because I will always favor a beta that I can work on, a project that I can get at a steal over something that is mint, has the parachutes, has the box. Like, yes, in that sense, 230 US for a vintage Skystriker with all its stuff is a steal. But guys, I bought a Skystriker for 60 quid. That's like $35. I mean, that was my level of investment in the Skystriker previously. So yeah, 230 was a bitter pill, but made oh so sweet by the extras and the fact that I haven't felt it yet. So I'm laughing, guys. Anyways, that's me. I'm gonna shut the hell up now.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad you joined the team, and I'm just thinking about the upcoming movie.
You have to wait. But guys, I mean, we can play out the role play of it already because, Paulie, one day in the not too distant future, a Skystriker will take off from the deck of the Flag to do a combat air patrol around Cobra Island. And out of the sky thunders something that looks like a flaming skull from low orbit. And the battle is joined. Hey, imagine that. HasLab Skystriker versus Robo Skull Mark II. Ooh, it's going to happen.
Well, I think the Skystriker might be at a disadvantage if you just do sheer numbers. There's a lot more Robo Skulls in the air. Yeah.
A swarm of red skulls. Awesome. Paul, did you back it, dude? You're the question mark at this point.
What, the Skystriker? Sadly, not yet. I actually don't have the dosh for it, thanks to the RoboSkull.
Yes.
So, but that's okay. I'm not feeling any major FOMO. If a specific client pays me in time, I may actually jump in on the old Skystriker. I'm very excited. I know that a lot of guys are very amped for the Ripcord. I am very happy that Scarlet actually came into the mix. That was probably the one figure in there I was really, really amped about. But yeah, man, I'm feeling the FOMO. I won't lie. Yeah, I just haven't got the stuffies, the monies right now for it. But maybe it'll come my way. We'll see.
Folks do backflips over Night Force Ripcord, and I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but for me, Ripcord V1 will never be usurped. Like, I don't need alternative decos when the original deco is so good.
Yep.
So the real prize of the unlocks is the Scarlet for me, because that is effectively a new figure. I know it's the same Ace body mold, but I don't think you could conceivably get Scarlet's swivel head under that dome. So they will have to retool parts of it, tweak parts of it. So we're getting a figure in a role that we've never previously got in the O-ring versions. So yes, putting Scarlet in that pressure suit effectively makes her a new figure to me, and one that adds more function to Scarlet that never existed previously. She's going to look good in a Skystriker. Oh yes. I'll chuck that bloody Wayne Ruthel out. No parachute.
This may be controversial, but what are your thoughts, or do you have any thoughts about the chest piece for Scarlet? Do you think just using, this is Ace's chest piece is the same, or do you think there should be a more feminine chest piece?
Should she have tits, Troy? You're so polite. I love it. This show, we let our hair down, but let me not answer first. Who
Sorry,
here
that
believes
just sunk
she should
in.
have? Who here believes that Ace's classic chest piece should be endowed?
I think it's totally fine the way it is. I suppose it's the same argument as like when there's like armor, when women and men have armor.
Boobs.
But like, no, I think it's totally fine. I mean, in real life, I mean, I don't think they make them, they design the suits necessarily differently.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, if you, aside from the like sort of posture and maybe some of the proportions, when you see a male and a female pilot in the flight suit with their helmets on, it's difficult to really determine who's who, like what their genders are. So to me, that doesn't bug me too much. I've always actually kind of liked that about the modern era figures, in that there's some gear that you could just put a female head on that gear and it kind of makes sense. Customizers out there, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that doesn't bug me. I'm totally cool with it, actually.
Well, Troy, I'm glad you set up the question, but do you believe it should be a different piece?
Yes, I do, and it's hard to describe why without just sounding like a total pervert. But it's just like a woman's figure is different, and I just think it would be more unique and it would be more Scarlet if it were a little different. Maybe even a slimmer waist, and but we'll see what they do.
To that point, Troy, I say that makes sense. Yeah.
I'm standing a version 1.5 Scarlet next to a version 1.5 Rock and Roll, and Scarlet is ever so slightly shorter.
Mm-hmm.
So staturally, and I think the shortness comes in the knee joint is exactly the same height. The tops of the legs end in the same position. It's actually the waist piece.
Mm-hmm.
The men have a taller waist piece, whereas Scarlet's is rounder and shorter. So if they gave that Ace a new waist piece, and that Ace Buck a new waist piece, and let's be honest, like the waist piece is always going to seem out on the classic Ace costume. I mean, he looks like he robbed his crotch from a Strato Viper with the black and grey, which is nowhere else on the rest of the figure. So maybe a different tooling on the waist piece would just kind of lower her stature a little bit and make her less analogous to her male brethren in that flight suit. But yeah, to answer the question, I don't have a problem with it. And I quite like it being androgynous. Like a flight suit is a flight suit is a flight suit. There's a lot more rigid stuff in that front piece that would not allow her breasts to be prominent.
And then from a business standpoint, it makes no sense to retool when you can have the other. It's just different paint app, and it could go either way, but I was just, curious.
I mean, you can always just take a classic Scarlet crotch and swap it out with that figure and then paint it up. Because, those
Then
things
you
aren't
know
like
it's a real
hen's
one.
teeth. An unbroken Scarlet crotch? Cheapers.
Do those things still exist?
Yeah.
It's
if
not
they
Scarlet
do, you
if
better
she has a
not
fixed
breathe
crotch.
on them. I think that wraps up our HasLab Skystriker chat, guys. Check back in with us a year and a half from now. But yeah, I'm so happy to have been at that party. It was a good one.
I'm glad
Still
you're able
hungover.
to join it, dude.
Yes, I'm glad you made it right under the wire.
It's just cool
Well,
that GI
if-
Joburg's got a Skystriker now. So
If, Paul, you don't secure one, at this rate, the three of us can still play together. Rob will be in
Yeah.
his 83 original.
Yeah,
You'll be
there
in
we
your
go.
2011. I'll have the new Royal Highness. And we'll take to the skies.
and just to add insult to injury, my 2011 has got shipwreck livery on it. So
Oh my goodness. The early 2010s were a strange time for you, Paul.
no, man, I've got two of the damn things, and I figured, well, one of them is going to be shipwrecks. The other one's totally going to be aces. So let me make the one shipwrecks because it's the most ridiculous thing, and it's a nod to Sunbow. So
I maintain,
and it also doesn't hurt that I have
want-
a Pilot Scarlet. So that's also cool.
Oh yeah, the Glenda, the silver and blue.
I've got the
Nice.
blue one. She's awesome.
I maintain that, and I perhaps need to do an actual empirical rewatch of the cartoon to add to my claim, but I think Ace has got the worst shoot down ratio of any pilot in GI Joe. It's just ironic that he is the jet pilot of GI Joe, because every time he's in a Skystriker, practically, I think there was one example of an episode where his Skystriker doesn't get shot down. But because he's always piloting the Skystriker, and because the Skystrikers are so frequently shot down, I guess just mathematically, he's going to have the worst ratio. Like,
There's
that
a
guy is just...
liability.
He is bad luck, man. He gets in that jet is not coming home. Anyways, Skystriker chat closed. Troy, this weekend, man, we collaborated on element extraction. This was a spin-out story which basically took our two contributions on Element X, the backyard battles film from last year, which formed part of Cobra Convergence, as it turns out. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, check out the link in the description. We decided to indulge ourselves and tell our stories over a less constrained period because Paul very cruelly insisted that we only have 2 minutes apiece in the original Element Extraction or Element X.
Yeah, I'm so horrible. Moving
I know,
along.
right? But I whipped up a script that kind of took into account windmills, adversities on the ground, and my team's difficulties after Beachhead gets shot. And I guess the great joy of this was half of it was already in the can, thanks to Element X. We just had to kind of tie it up nicely. You did most of the extensive reshoots, I must say. All of the action, the new action, was all shot by you. What's your process, man? Did you go for another hike up into the hills surrounding your house?
Absolutely, yes. Went back. It was easier just because it was one helicopter and one down, and just kind of trying to find some cool rocks and some cool. Trying to find trees actually was a little difficult around this area because it is kind of a desert area, but there were some trees because I was trying to match the area that your group was in so that they would mold together because we're shooting this on 2 different continents, but we're trying to make it look like they're in the same place. So that
I
was
think we
challenging,
succeeded
but-
in that. I mean, a rock is a rock is a rock, whether
I
it's
think you
down
guys
under or if it's in California.
Yes.
Thanks, Paulie.
It meshes well together. I mean, I would not have been able to look at any specific shot and gone, this was filmed in this place, or that was filmed in that place. It comes together really well.
Oh,
Thanks,
thank
bro.
you. Yeah.
Mission
yeah, dude.
accomplished.
And I appreciate that you really, even from the beginning when we did this, you really cared a lot about Windmill. Because I remember some conversations in the chat. Well, what about Windmill? Is Windmill okay? Is he dead? Is he alive? And you just really wanted to take care of him. And I appreciate that. And the script you wrote was really good. And when you asked me to be participating, I was like, oh, yeah, I'm in. Let's go. We got to figure this out.
Well, Troy, you and I have unfinished business, man.
Yeah.
I always felt bad that the the fate of our playmotion adventure was unresolved. You told such a compelling story with Falcon as your principal character, and I had the third and final chapter half shot, I'm gonna say, but it's closer to a quarter. Rob, if you can recall the last time we ever shot playmotion together, it was on the burning sands of the Atlantis desert.
Yes.
And that was going to contribute towards a film production called Red Glare, which would have been the clairvoyance third part. And it just, obviously, for obvious reasons, the world kind of going into lockdown and me being trapped 8 time zones away, never came into fruition. And I was like, but I wanted to work with Troy again. So fortunately, we had both collaborated on this Backyard Battles, and that gave me the idea to link up again, join forces. And yeah, it was something that I wanted to insist upon, that there be a greater sense of continuity than just simply handing off the ball between contributors. Like, I wanted to reference events in Troy's film. And the key event was Windmill getting shot down and crashing out. But then what happens after that? My Joes are kind of at a loose end after kind of losing the package and then getting it and then losing it again. So they might as well start search and rescue and see if they can recover either a body or save a life. And that gave us our point of departure. Enter Voltar and the Iron Grenadiers.
Yes. That
was your idea, Troy.
Yeah, I wanted to do that, and I also wanted to put Voltar in Destro's Despoiler and have everybody think it was Destro, but be the surprise and Voltar. Voltar is an unusual character, and as a kid, I had this purple cape that was on another action figure, and I would always put that around Voltar. And I don't know what it was about the purple and the gold, but I guess it reminded me of royalty. And so I used him a lot as a kid, and it's like, oh, he's a general. He's pretty cool. He's fitting to command these Iron Grenadiers, and that'll be a good play to get him in. At the time when we started shooting it, I thought it'd be his debut, but I think he showed up in the Renegades, and he was just fine there too.
Well, now that he's a carryover character, it's kind of given me ideas for the fourth part of the Renegade story to somehow reference this, that Voltar's got these GI Joe captives. Because, spoiler alert, the film ends with Dusty, Windmill, and Roadblock being taken prisoner.
Yeah.
You've ruined the ending.
But Troy, I was kind of writing these things concurrently, and I think, yeah, I mean, I guess either great minds think alike or fools never differ, one of the two. But the idea of giving Voltar some much needed respect sprang up in both me and you in our separate endeavors. And it's not difficult to see why. Like, he's such a terrific sculpt. And if he indeed is responsible for the Iron Grenadiers, he must be pretty jacked. Like, he knows what he's doing. He's Destro's general. And, I mean, if you regard Destro's strategic skills to be pretty top-notch, the guy who Destro hires to command his forces must be a pretty incredible mind. But we focused on him in a more action sense, flying those spoilers. And it was your idea to bring in his optics.
Which Celia loved, by the way, every time you did that. Sorry, I wanted to mention.
I think I lifted that. Oh, thank you, Celia. I think I lifted that from you, Steve. You were the one who said, "Oh yeah, do something cool with his eye and his optics." I was like, "Okay."
Well, you definitely delivered, man.
Oh,
You
thank
gave
you.
it kind of red tint and a fisheye lens, and then
Mm-hmm.
you got really close in to the action. It was like, there you are, roadblock, something to that
Yeah.
effect.
No, I just wanted to say I really felt that like Voltar's sort of superiority came through well. I felt like he was strategic. I felt like he was confident. I got that vibe from the character, from the way that you guys put him on screen. Because there was one moment, just when he goes, good show, GI Joe's. Like I just liked that. That was like honorable. He was like, nice one. I'm better than you, but nice one.
Mm-hmm.
And I really liked that. I thought that was a very good piece of script writing, and the delivery was great as well. So it's something cool that I figured I should mention. Anyway,
Well, I can't
yeah.
get it out of my head that Voltar and the Iron Grenadiers are called by some as Destro's space conquistadors. So that's why Voltar has the accent.
Yes, and when he was flying, we had a discussion about at the end when he's going to end the fight. I was like, there needs to be some more scripting here because he's flying around and taunting, and it's like my script writing was like, okay, well, he's going to make fun of the Iron Grenadiers, like. There's 4 of you. There's only 2 of them. What's wrong with you guys? That's Cobra Commander cartoonish. But I like the way that you scripted it out. It's like, okay, it is time to end this. And he's not going to talk down to his troops. So I kind of want to have him to be a different type of leader than cartoon Cobra Commander. So I liked how that worked out.
Well, he's a strategic type of fella. He knows that the ground forces only need to hem the Joes in and stop them from escaping. That the victory will be won through air power.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your opinion on the despoiler? I know I kind of, at first I asked Troy, do you have any AGPs? And you're like, no, but I got a couple of despoilers.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. We could make that a kind of a more general purpose ride. Why not?
Yeah. I think for the purpose of the mission, it's the right tool. They're small one-arm manned flying objects. They're looking for element X, and you get a good bird's eye view. You're not way up in the sky, but you can cover a lot of ground. You're not too far away from the ground. You can still see a lot of detail, and you got a couple of them scurrying around. You're going to find a lot of stuff, and like a pilot.
And practically speaking, having the guy sort of 3/4 exposed allows you to engage with the character. I don't think we could have gotten that POV sort of connection to the red optic as clear if you'd been shooting it through the red glass of a AGP. So yeah, the despoiler paid off big time. And it's just got such neat armament for its purpose. I love those mini missiles. They're they're big enough to pack a punch to kind of silence the battlefield, but they wouldn't completely obliterate the Joes. It's like, if you can imagine those very gritty kind of war movies of the day where an RPG goes off and all of a sudden everything's dusty and everyone's got hearing damage and you just have like a high-pitched ringing. Like that's what I envision when the Joes go down and are ultimately captured.
And he purposely had the missile go between where they are at instead of like right on top of somebody.
You had a great dust puff at that point.
Oh, yes.
Nice touch.
Thank you.
How do you do that, actually? Like, practically in the shots? Do you kind of toss dust at the guys, or do you throw a stone that then kicks up dust from beneath?
A handful of dust.
Nice.
Pixie dust.
Nice, dry Californian dust.
Absolutely.
Fine.
A question I have there, and it's something I noticed when I went to Kokomo Toys, was there were 2 different types of despoiler. There was one that had like brown plastic, and then there was one that had the more gold plastic. Steven didn't believe me.
I still don't. For the record.
Can't you tell that the ones on Troy's video are the brown plastic and mine's the gold plastic? Like, it's like clear as day.
I just see slight variations, and that, I mean, GPS, man. That swirly gold that was used. That there will always be variation in the kind of
Yeah, but like
the
choice
level of
ones are like
goldness.
distinctly brown. Sorry to be like
Okay.
camper on about this, but the cool thing is my despoiler here lives with me. So I'm just gonna switch on my camera quickly for our hello everybody.
Hey, Paul.
See,
Oh, his is more golden.
there we go. I'm not crazy. Well, not that kind of crazy. See?
All right.
Yay.
Question for the comments thread on the YouTube version: is
What
Paul
does
crazy?
it mean?
And
You're
also,
gonna get like a
is
whole
there
bunch
two
of dudes.
versions? Well, yeah. Look, does anyone have any first-hand experience with this? Can they confirm or deny that there are two distinct variations? I'm gonna guess that there are multiple. Like there's a kind of a gradation of gold into brown, and depending on what run of plastic you got out of the factory, that's the color you get. But yeah, if there are two distinctive color variations, let me know. I've learned this weekend that I've got very bright green parts on my RAM, and then I've got very dull olive green parts on my RAM. And I've managed to separate them out. So I've got two bikes. Well, no, I've got a very nice grade. One bike is a dull green. The other is extremely lurid emerald green. And then there's one in between. So that would support my theory that like over the course of time, the color gradation changes back and forth. Yeah. But Bart says in the chats, I have 3 and all of mine are gold. So I don't know if that helps us, but thanks for playing, Bart.
I
Crazy
think I have
yes,
3,
wrong no, says Darren.
and all of mine are brown.
Okay. Well, I don't know. There you go. Maybe it's a climate thing as well. Maybe the gold
it
is
could be.
deteriorating over time.
Good.
Anyways,
Sorry
guys,
guys. Anyway, carry on about the awesomeness that is the spoiler because it's a great vehicle.
Well, Rob, Paul, you guys got any questions for the creators of this? Paul, you contributed a very cool track we called Condor, which we used for Voltar's introduction.
Yes. Yeah, thank you guys. That one I went through quite a few tracks trying to make the right kind of thing. And I gotta say, you guys, thanks to that, you put me into a genre of synthwave that I've always enjoyed, but I've never tried to make myself. It's more of the horror synth or the dark synth style of music. Now I know that piece of music isn't necessarily that, but having explored all of that, I came full circle to what I gave you there. And I'm quite happy with it. In fact, it was quite cool. Celia, when she heard it, she's like, "Oh, that's so cool," because that was just nice, to hear.
I agree.
That was, yeah, thank you. And when you guys liked it, I was very. It was super cool for me. So thank you. And I may make that available soon for the Patreons for the Bergforce. I just want to polish it a little bit because I'm worried that the version I gave you is good. I just would like to polish it a bit better. But yeah, that's about the depth of that. And I gotta say, guys, I really liked where you used music. I thought the music came across really well. It was used in. I felt that it spoke in the episode, so that was great. That was cool for me. Like, sorry for patting myself on the back here, but it's just nice to hear.
Well, we use the familiar Sunbow cues as well for their dramatic and nostalgic impacts.
And
But it's so nice to have something new to add to the kind of the lexicon of GI Joe tunes. And yeah, synthwavy stuff for a guy who wears magenta, that's sublime. Thank you, Paul.
Yay! Oh,
Makes
Matthew says.
perfect sense.
Matthew says, Neon Robot God is my new favorite Paul track. Oh, thanks, dude. If you ever want to see the debut of that, it's from a Cobra Convergence video, actually, where Rob, Steve, and myself did this. We got these cool bats from Greg Crockett. And so we turned our bats into our Cobra Convergence videos.
Hell
And
yeah.
so, yeah, Neon Robot God was made as part of my submission to that little trifecta of shorts. So thank you, man. It's cool. So it's actually one of my faves as well. It's one of the songs I play in the car every now and then. There is a question I wanted to ask, And it's a weird one because there's a sequence that you do in that I really love. It's where the Iron Grenadiers start sort of circling in on Dusty, and the way that you like Troy, the way that you set them all up, and the way that you shoot that is very sexy. I really love that. Was that inspired by anything that you had seen? Did you have that like visualized in your head, and then you looked for reference of cool ways to do it, or did you have that in your head from the beginning? Like, were you like, oh, that's how I'm going to do it, and then it played out, or what is the story there? Because I really love that. So that's one of the questions I have for that.
Well, I think what I was looking for was overwhelming force, that these guys were well outnumbered. And I think I have like 4, maybe 5 Iron Grenadiers. I don't have all their guns, and I don't have all of them fully equipped. So I thought, okay, if I put them face down and just have them shooting, and so that you can't see their guns, but you can tell that somebody's there and shooting, and you think like, all right, it's an even fight. There's 2 and 2, and then just crossing over the screen. I just thought it'd be a cool look, because you're looking downfield, and when you're looking at that shot, it is kind of funny because it's all kind of desert and rock, and then you see this green and orange little glow, and it's like that's windmill over there on the ground. It's like no camouflage, forget it. He's dressed for like, rescue me, get me out of here, not let's do some combat. So yeah, I think that was the idea, and then I don't know where I got the idea of just having them like fall into place, like down, it's like line up, and I think it's just the idea of this,
Well, there's not much cover out there. They had to hug that rock.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you make an interesting point. Absolutely. It's as if Windmill was expecting to get shot down when he got dressed that morning. Like, he is wearing perfect colors for being rescued.
Yeah.
But yes, not perfect colors for escape and evade on the ground, being hunted by Iron Grenadiers.
And why doesn't he have a sidearm?
I know. I was looking on his sculpt, and it was like, oh, he's got a weapon. And it's like, oh, that would be an interesting plot point. Hey,
I think Rob knows about that sidearm.
Yes.
Well, windmill sidearm.
Oh yeah.
Do I? How do I know about that?
Well, I'll refresh your memory.
Rob on the spot.
Rob, just Troy, you might not be aware of this, but Windmill did classically come with a pistol.
Mm-hmm.
But
Huge
I think
one.
The word pistol is a bit strained when describing this gargantuan cannon of a weapon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rob remembers now.
Yeah.
Who did you give that gun to?
Jeez. It must have been something it must have been shifters, I imagine.
Dude, I'm pretty convinced when you finally caved and wanted to give Scoop a more lethal bent, when Alistair had kind of harangued you enough, like, come on, Rob, you can't be Scoop again, man. Sick of you filming the whole thing. Like, come on, you gotta
have an
let
actual
us
gun.
covering fire. You picked up Windmill's revolver and were like, yeah, this is the one. This is gonna shoot helicopters out of the sky. That's what I've used this gun for.
Gotta Dirty Harry this up.
Exactly. I think you were like big on Dirty Harry at the time.
Absolutely. I think I probably rewatched the movies quite near to when I decided to pick that gun up. I mean, it is quite conspicuous that it's not in there, but I suppose it would weigh down, the chopper he was in.
It's conspicuous that a helicopter pilot would be armed with such a behemoth to begin with. I mean, what is he expecting to do? Have to shoot out his canopy?
Yeah.
It's a big gun. Anyways, it's comically oversized.
Mm-hmm.
But I suppose there are actual revolvers of a similar size. But yeah, they're not the kind of thing you would practically wield.
Well, it makes a nice change of pace, though. I mean, in the third half of in that part of the video where you have someone who doesn't have a gun, has to kind of like think on his feet to kind of like survive for the next couple of minutes until he can kind of hopefully get back together with the rest of the GI Joe team.
You played that one neatly into Troy's hands by calling it Survive.
Yes.
Indeed. There was a bit of scripting that mostly wound up on the cutting room floor, but a little bit of it remained. a real Easter egg to anyone who is down with their Deep Joe lore. Troy, do you want to crack that topic open, brother?
Absolutely. So you've got a guy who's running around. He's crashed. There's no one to talk to, so he kind of has to talk to himself. And so I had to come up with some dialogue for him. Like, what would he be saying to himself? And GI Joes, they're the best of the best of the best. But there's got to be some guy who's kind of scared, and not the the weakest of the best. And to put it unpolite. And I kind of see Windmill that way. It's like, all right, he's a pilot. He's not necessarily trained for ground, and I can see him being I tried to play him as like nervous and anxious, so trying to self-talk himself. And what is he going to self-talk? Well, he's got to think about Outback, because Outback is a survival training, and it's like, okay, these are the skills they'll teach you. You hope you don't have to use them, so you maybe sleep through that part of your training. And so he's kind of like okay, survival S. All right, survey, think, understand the situation, and look around. What do I have? And that's where the part is like, okay, he's checking his body. All right, what injuries do I have? Okay, I'm not injured. I have no weapons. Okay, what about the radio? The radio's broken. No vehicle. All right, he's survey the situation, and that's what he's kind of going down the checklist, which I think is what a pilot would do. Pilots are very much on checklists. Like, before we take off, we got to do check all these things. I guess he forgot to check. I guess he forgot to check the checklist of like pack a weapon.
Yeah, but yeah,
well,
he's.
If he did have that hand cannon, and he was flung from the wreck, like that thing, you can't strap that thing down. It'll break free. Mm-hmm. It's probably strewn somewhere like half a mile away.
Yeah.
Because like the vibe that I get from Windmill is that he tries to be the best pilot he can possibly be, so that he doesn't ever crash. So
right.
Yeah. So he's like, he probably doesn't pack a sidearm then anyway. Now that I think about it, he's like, no, I'm not gonna pack a sidearm. I'll never crash. I'm gonna fly so damn well. Yeah, that didn't work out for him this time, and it's cool. And he's he's a fun character though, like the way that you brought his characterization in. He kind of comes across as a goofball. He's competent, but he's a goofball, and it was great. And you guys did it in a very realistic way, or very believable way, should I say? I enjoyed that, because you could have gone completely stupid and goofy the way that they sort of play Bazooka up in the Sunbow series, or worse, characters from the Deke series. Pick literally any one of them. And you guys didn't. You guys played it very on the line and with like little dips into silliness, and that I thought was the best call. So
well, I had Windmill not as a child but as a teen, and I loved the Skystorm, so I tolerated the figure. But if you want to see this figure lampooned and sent up in an excellent fashion, you need to only look as far as HCC 788's review, where he dresses up in neon green and orange, and I think he wears Mickey Mouse ears.
Mickey Mouse ears, that's right.
Let's be honest, like those strange protrusions on Windmill's helmet, it's not a flattering look.
Yeah, I chose Windmill because I chose the Locust. I wanted to use the Locust that came with the General. Mm-hmm. And then I was like looking through all my pilots, and it's like, okay, which one matches the Locust the best? And I was like, oh, well, this green kind of looks nice. So that's why I chose Windmill. And he doesn't get a lot of play. He he fits in that range where he has no animation appearances. I don't know his comic book appearance, but it just seemed like it was kind of a blank slate. He's probably not very many people's favorites, and I kind of like using the underdogs because the roster's so big, and it's like it's kind of fun just to spotlight individual characters and just bring them to life.
Telling a story with the guys who are tried and true is all very fun and well, but the guys who haven't been touched by media are a blank canvas. Mm-hmm. So it's very
gives
appealing.
You so much leeway in like how you can characterize them.
We are, by situating ourselves in the kind of 87, 88 camp or era of figures, we're effectively trying to be a third season of Sunbow.
Yeah.
You know, this is these are the guys that never saw animated appearance. So yeah, they really are ours to do with what we wish.
Darren Cobb is like, here's one of the men sent in to get the men, sent in to get the men, sent in to get the men. Yes, he is the best of what's left. I
I'll
like
put
that.
my finger on where that's from.
And then Bart mentioned that his crash kit under his seat will have a collapsible 22 rifle in it, or .22 rifle in it. It'll have a small multi-tool as well, typically a Leatherman. So thanks,
The
Bart.
chair force have spoken.
Yeah.
Excellent. From the horse's mouth. From the bird's mouth. The eagle's mouth.
Now, if only Hasbro made those in GI Joe scale, we got a
Missed
story.
opportunity has, bro.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe in the new Skystriker.
Ooh.
They're already
maybe
giving
we'll
us
still
enough
get stretch
plastic.
goals.
Yeah.
They're giving us more plastic than they had banked on. And I laugh that there is a petition going around. Like, Hasbro, please give us the flight crew, deck crew. They call them pit crew, and that, I believe, is completely incorrect. It's not pit crew. This isn't this isn't Formula One racing. Anyways,
No. It's the condiment force. And you heard it here on GI Joburg, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to put that out
Correctamento.
there.
But yeah, look, no one is giving away a freebie at this point. They're already giving 3 figures away that they never planned on to sweeten the deal and get this thing over the line. So yeah, I think it's very cute that there's a petition going around, but I don't fancy its chances.
Mm-mm. If anything, if they released that as a separate thing that we could purchase, that would be great. I'd be okay with that. I mean, like, it wouldn't be a bad idea for Hasbro to do that because so many
Well,
people
it's
have
something
bought
they've
Skystrikers.
designed. It's something
Yeah.
they've designed now that they can actually add, if they are going forward with a vintage line, they can add it into there.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think,
And
you
aren't
know,
we getting the torso with the Cobra sort of deck crew guy? He's got that same flight vest, that jacket. So the only thing that would be new tooling would be the 2 heads, the mustachioed one and the bear one. I'm going to give a hot take, guys, and I know we said we'd put a pin in the Skystriker, but my hot
Sorry.
take
Clearly we
right
can't.
now,
Yeah.
no, clearly I'm buzzing, is that I would have rather have had the deck crew than Night Force Ripcord, for the reason I stated up front, that like original Ripcord can't be beat, and if you have that, Night Force is just a nice addition. It'll probably look okay in a Night Force display, though I'm all about the OGs. Like, I'm not going to display the Tiger Force guys from the 2000s along with the original Tiger Force. It's a different feel. It's a different aesthetic. Leave that shit alone. Anyways, who knows what these figures are going to feel like?
Yeah.
The O-ring construction hasn't been revisited in a long time, and when we left off with it, it didn't feel vintage in my hands. So trepidatious there.
I think
Let's just hope they got squidgy thumbs.
Yes. I think Night Force is a great way to take some of those figures that were just kind of had the wrong paint app and redo some really good figures with a good paint app.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think the best use of Night Force.
Look, Ripcord had ties to the Skystriker long before the HasLab. So he was an easy shoe-in for this set and a very desirable figure. But yeah, I just come back to the same point that like camo Ripcord from 84 is all the Ripcord I'm ever gonna need. What I do need is some able deckhands to be scuttling around the deck of my USS Flag. So I'm gonna mourn ketchup and mustard as with the rest of the backers.
Yeah.
Until they make them available. Hopefully they do. Anyways, element extraction. Troy, anything you'd like to add, my friend?
Special thanks, and Paul kind of brought it up with the voice acting and the vocal talents. I always like to ask favors of the Joe community, and I was able to get Mac Dowling. He has a YouTube channel and has done a lot of GI Joe things in the past. He was doing a lot. You remember the mobile game, the GI Joe mobile game?
Oh yes.
That unfortunately
very helpful information. Thanks,
yes,
Mac.
he had a lot of great videos. I was in his group Mega Marines 2000, and we played that game and chatted a lot about it. So Max stepped up and did some IG voices for me, and my new friend Mark Weber did another voice for me. So I wanted to reach out to the What's on Joe Mind. So
The Honcho.
yes, I
Excellent.
absolutely love listening to him talk about it because he brings such a. I mean, he was there. He's so smart and knows.
I've learned a
knows
lot.
he knows this GI Joe, and he knows the inside story and scoop, pun intended. So, like when he talks about like what they could release and what they should release, and his ideas and his thoughts, and it's like, okay, yeah, it's very good stuff. So I was gracious. He was gracious enough to give us his voice talent, so I was glad to get him on board.
And it's a distinctive voice. Hopefully anyone who is a crossover fan from What's on Joe Mind, who happened to watch the playmotion, will recognize it. I think someone called it in the comments. I could be mistaken. But yes, I mean, in case you didn't call it, we do credit him at the end. Mark the Honcho Weber.
Yes.
All right. Bart would like to add that is Night Force Ripcord, or is it Zartan? Danny of our time would like a Night Force Big Ben and Hit and Run. Once again, two characters that have excellent deco straight out the gate. The only thing preventing Big Ben from being Night Force, I think, would be like paint the white wool of his cap black, and you got it, man. But look, just getting new versions of those figures would be a worthy inclusion. And Darren Cobb would like a Bongo. I wonder if she would be in the bear suit. Yeah, totally. You wouldn't be able to see a single bit of female on her. It would be entirely just a molded bear. Interesting. And lastly, Matthew Comstock says, super stretch goal. He wants Duke Mayonnaise Hellman. Now, I believe all the deckhands, all of the guys sort of who work the catapults and the arrestor cables, like they all have, like they're coded. There's purple jackets and red jackets and yellow jackets. I don't know what a pale off-white jacket would mean, but it's salty, creamy, and delicious, presumably.
It's in my eye.
Grim.
And I'll let that sink in. Anyway.
All right, gents. Anyone want to dive into Postbox the Pit with me?
Absolutely. I'm there.
Yeah, my body is ready.
Well, this isn't going to be much fun for the listeners, but if you are watching the YouTube version, Lance Toth just sent me a completely unsolicited email out of the blue. No text, no nothing, but just with the most insane Outback artwork.
Oh, wow.
That's
incredible. Cool. He's carrying Breaker. Breaker looks man down, man. He looks like he's been... I mean, we don't see any visible bullet wounds or anything, but he is slumped in Outback's rippling arms, or arm. Outback is all the while covering fire as he's marching through what looks like a bog or a swamp. It's like brownish water, which could be sort of taking into account the light reflected on the water. But Paul, Mr. Artiste, what techniques is Lance using here?
That looks like coloring pencil with watercolor. With water. So it's like your aqua. You get those. We have them in South Africa as aquarelle pencils. But yeah, that just looks like the type of pencils that you can mix a little bit of water in to get some blending in. That's what it looks like, at least from where I'm sitting. I could be wrong because a lot of the tone is very well done in that he's using like quite bold shapes and whatever's for the shadows and lighting, which is great to see. Because a lot of guys just tend to rely on just smudging everything. So it's really cool to see some good shape language and some good shapes in that lighting and color and shadow. But yeah, I think it's so basically the technique is you color in a little bit with your pencil, and then you take a paintbrush that's not wet. Well, you can. I mean, you set up a paintbrush to be as wet as you want it to be, and you just get it to blend the color a bit or to add or to remove the edge from the color, like he's done with the water. The water's lost a lot of its edge as it comes to the foreground, which is good. because it helps to maintain a lot of the sort of sharpness of detail, and the contrast is maintained on the focal points, which is great. This is awesome. Sorry, I didn't mean to get like critiquey, but it's just I'm just observing the cool stuff that I'm seeing on the artwork. So very
It's a
nice, dude.
fantastic piece. Damn.
I think the
Yeah.
energy there, it's very good, and I like
Must
how
be
you
a
did the forearm
Jovember.
as well.
I guess he did during Jovember.
Well, maybe he just missed Jovember and decided, what's the coolest fate for this artwork? Let me sling it to the guys at GI Joburg. And Lance, it is much appreciated. This is beautiful. It's got that scratchy kind of almost dithered style that you see a lot of Metal Gear Solid artworks having.
I was gonna say it does remind me of
Yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
Love it so much. And I love the fact that he's shrunken Outback's standard weapon to be better in scale with the actual figure. It's a submachine gun, but like the accessory is oversized. I'm pretty sure that's true.
I
And
agree.
it
I think they
almost
just did
looks
it that
like-
way to sling it on him.
Yeah, true. But I mean, a lot of accessories, the scaling kind of falls a little bit out towards the later 80s. I am thinking that he either used the vintage or the 25th anniversary action figures as reference, because it's super accurate to the toys. So I wonder if he was able to pose them like this, which, I mean, to pose your figures in a kind of a one guy carrying the other guy is challenging enough, but to
Yeah.
pose them realistically, yeah, that's wow. However you brought this about, Lance, it's beautiful, and man,
And thank you
I
for
hope
that,
I have your
actually.
blessing to post it everywhere I possibly can. I'll email you later.
What did I want to mention as well? It was also on the topic of just art and comics, and I don't want us to get too deep into this, but it seems like GI Joe is going to find its home in Image Comics, maybe. And the current news, I'm sure most of you guys have seen this already, is that Robert Kirkman is his label is looking to try and get those properties. I don't want to have this. I want to save this conversation for a whole different episode, but I do want to say one thing. Robert Kirkman has this weird habit of touching properties and turning them into gold. He's kind of got that vibe. Rob, I think you can agree with me to some
absolutely.
extent there. He's got a very cool style, and I would love to see. I'd like a future where that happens. So I hope we're gonna save that one for another episode, definitely. But I can't.
We
think
got
of
a
it
very
right now.
nice set of emails from our latest Patreon gentleman by the name of Sammy Six Toes on Facebook. I think he might be in the chats right now, even. I'm gonna just give the long and short of it the fact that this guy leads an incredible existence. He hunts deer on his property to feed his family. Very, very cool. They want to become self-sustaining. They're going to get pigs and chickens and all that jazz, and probably grow the greens as well.
That's badass, man.
But he listens to our podcast while he's on a hunt, and he has listened to our entire back catalog.
That's
Wow.
crazy.
Wow. He says he misses your cricket, Paul.
Oh, is it soothing?
Yeah,
Actually-
I guess nature sounds fits in with
Yeah,
the
they-
setting.
There is something about that. It's weird, like how you can have. I also like. I don't know if you guys ever have this, but sometimes when you have like a repetitive sound in your head, like let's say a cricket sound, or in my case, it's like dance music. As soon as I hear something that's like off, it's almost like my brain's more alert to stuff that's not supposed to be there. It's weird. I don't know. Does that work for you, Sammy? I don't know.
Well, rough and smooth. Some people enjoy your cricket. I know Dan Szymanski made light of it a couple of times. But by the same token, like people who listen to us while driving, like there was a guy who
Had car
thought that he
trouble.
had something wrong with his car. Yeah, like a squeak, a wheel that
God.
was coming off the tub. Yeah, something like that.
We've come such a long way.
And we salute our patrons, guys who help us out month to month. Much appreciated. The number of the Berg Force is growing. We now have two
Two
Patreon
pages.
honor awards.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Incredible. If you'd like
And-
to become a patron of the show, scroll down. The details or the link will be in the description, and you get perks like you can come and join our live audience. And even if you can't make the recording sessions, the podcast in its raw, unedited form will be available to you a full 24 hours before the public version goes up. But we'll keep doing everything we do free as a bird, free as the air, assuming the air is still free, forever. You can always help us out by liking, sharing, and subscribing, though. Yeah.
And also, just while we're on it quickly, just want to shout these guys out by name, just because it's cool. So just want to say Nelson Culligan, Bill Myers, and Danny of our time. You're in the Berg now, and we're happy to have you. So thank you so much for your subscription, or not your subscription, but for your patronage, and for joining the Berg Force. And I hope that you enjoy it as much as we do. And also, one extra thing to mention is we do have an after party that happens after our live broadcasts. And as of this episode, we're trying something new. We've got a Discord, which is available only to the Berg Force for now, because it's manageable. And that's where we're going to have the after party. So just letting folks know. That's one of the new extra features of the Patreon. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. I just want to put that away there.
And if you'd like to write us a lengthy love letter, just like Sammy Sixtoes, the email address is arealsouthafricanhero@gmail.com. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's also in the description down below. Also, if you'd like to just reach out to us on social media, we have a Facebook group, a Facebook page, Instagram accounts, and a Twitter account. So you can't miss DM GI Joburg.
Yeah.
Anything else
and if
anyone
you
would like
write
to
us-
add?
I think I'd like to say that whatever mail we get in the next episode, I'll read one choice letter in this voice. I'll be
Ooh,
like, hey, GI
insensitive.
Joburg, long time listener, first time writer.
I think that
I'll
that's
do it.
incentive enough. I'm gonna send us some fan mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thanks
thank
to our
you.
guest, Troy. Thanks for joining me on this adventure called Element Extraction, and thanks for joining GI Joburg on this podcast.
It's always a pleasure to be here, and I feel privileged just to be here. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, you
And-
were the earliest adopter of the playmotion format, as far as I'm concerned. You were like, yeah, I want in on that. And
Yeah.
we've been fast friends ever since. So thank you, my friend. This has
Well,
been a dream to
yes, it
collaborate
has.
across continents and oceans and time zones.
Yep.
Hopefully the collaboration comes soon. I mean, looking at the comments on the video, people are definitely clamoring already for part next. That cliffhanger
Well,
needs to be
I'm
resolved.
very happy to note that the appetite for these things, while niche, is insatiable. People who this stuff connects with love it so much that, I mean, we could do an episode a week and I don't think we'd meet demand. Like, they want it, they need it, they have to have it. Grown men playing with their toys in front of their cell phone cameras.
And the good news
Oh, what
is
a
that we
toy.
also want it, need it, and have to have it. And if we could
Mm-hmm.
do this without having to worry about anything else, dude, I would do this. I don't want to call it, I'm loath to call it a job, but if I could do this and not have to do an actual job, that would be so cool.
That's the dream, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
I'm wondering about dipping my toes one day. I'm always afraid of a flat rejection, but like, if people were made to pay for this, would it be like a hell no? Men playing with their toys, forget about it. Or if they'd be like, yeah, okay, I'm in.
I don't think I don't think we'll ever do it that people have to pay for it as much as saying that, but I mean there will be times maybe in the future where we might need a little bit of support for some of the projects that we want to do where
Paul,
realistically
I'm gonna
we
stop
would
you right there and just
yeah.
say, like, I've never made this argument before because I've always done this as a labor of love. But if I was doing it on the regular, that means that it can't exist in the dead spaces, like the hours that I can steal here and there in the dead of night when, the kid is in bed, the dishes are packed in the dishwasher, the wife is passed out in front of the TV, and I sneak off to my laptop to do some editing. Like, if I was doing this week to week, I would have to say, listen, guys, this is work. I need a cloister myself in my room or go off to a location and shoot something.
Mm.
So and time is not cheap, even when it's playing with your hobby. So like also
Or
I've
your
never wanted to
jobby.
make a job out of my
Scottish
hobby
joke
because I wouldn't want to crush the joy. But if we were doing this for demand instead of just doing it when time allows and inspiration strikes, I would like to be remunerated fairly. And
It's
that's
a different
that's the
situation,
question.
yeah.
Is that possible?
But then also, is it? Would it have the same passion though? You know, like those moments stolen, it kind of adds something special to it, doesn't it?
If I
Who
was
knows?
doing this less stressed, like, you know, if I actually kind of told my wife, like, no, this is work, this is paying gig, this is bringing money into the household, I need 5 hours every week to go on location and another 3 hours to chop it up. Like, if I could, you know, that's 7 hours to be sacrosanct, I'd like to think that it would ignite some of the passion because I'd be like, yes, this is Joe time. I'm not doing this when I'm exhausted and at the end of a long day. Anyways, I've labored the point long enough. Maybe I should start putting out feelers. But right now, you know, as it is
as
a
free
labor
as
of
the
love,
air.
and you get one every other month, maybe more. You know.
Something that's well, on the topic of labor of love, and I'm sorry to bring up the Skystriker again, but if you've made it
Jeez.
this far on this wonderful episode of GI Joburg, please let me know in the comments below if you have a Skystriker. Not a HasLab Skystriker, I'm talking vintage. If you have a Skystriker in some shape or form, please let me know in the comments below. Because somebody, this man over here, Mr. Bot, Simon here, he's just said, we need another international backyard battles. And turns out we kind of have half an idea for what we want to do. So, yeah. I don't want to say much more than that. I just want to gauge how many people have them on hand. And yeah, that is all I want to say there. Cool. Sorry.
Play with your toys, guys.
Yes.
Toys. Exactly. That's right, low light version 3. Technically not 2 because you're 3. I've been having so much fun with my low light version 3. Really, he's just been running
1991
around
low
and
light. Beardy low light.
he's running around and shooting fools. I dig him. I've even had this like joke in my head where he gets contacted by Professor Xavier, and he's like, Scott, and then Lowlight's like, it's not Scott. Oh, sorry, it's you again. and then they carry on. You know,
Paul,
because
you're
he kind of
so
looks like
random.
Cyclops. I am.
All
random.
right, we're out of here.
It's a
Hope
privilege.
everybody out there is having a great week, the ramp up to Christmas, and I hope there are incredible GI Joe related prezzies or just incredible prezzies waiting for you under the tree. Tis the season to give, but yeah, sometimes it's nice to get a few new toys. Isn't that right, boys?
Always nice to get toys. Great
Yes.
to give toys too.
Give toys to your kids.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Yes. That's how I sleep at night. So I'm like,
More Hot Wheels
one for you, 3 for me.
And if you don't like this toy, I know somebody who does.
You definitely don't like this toy. I'm gonna not even put it in your hands. It's very old. You wouldn't want that. It's fuddy-duddy. All right, we're out. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Cheers, cheers.
Yo, Joe.
Burger.
He sounds the battle call.